Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Connecting Life podcast. I'm your host, Diana Boskma, and I'm here to help you connect the dots of life so that you can live your best life in a healthy and fulfilling way. Today, I'm talking with Joelle Bohart. She's a friend of mine. She's also a life and business coach and overall a wonderful human being. So please tell us a little bit more about yourself, Joelle.
Thank you. It's really an honor to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. I really just enjoy having a conversation, so that part's going to be a lot of fun. I, uh, I kind of live my life by this saying, I suppose, that if you want to learn, teach. And I think that those of us that are in the self-help or development space find that while we're helping others, we're healing ourselves. And so that is kind of where I come from, the space that I come from. I, as a life and business coach, I want to always be the person that I wish I had had coming up, and somebody that will not only listen but encourage and support, and sometimes hold your feet to the fire, but also give you some of their wisdom, right? I think that we
Yeah,
all have wisdom to share. So
we
I
do.
noticed, right? I noticed the other day that I I've been a coach since I was in high school. In my high school, we had um, a group called peer counselors. And as high school students, we were trained, it was an extra class that we took, and we were trained to help those students that might need another friend or somebody to talk to. And so it was interesting to me that this has been a river
Yeah.
that's run through my life.
Yeah. Not every school has it, so that's really cool that you had that.
No, and I don't know that I've ever heard of another school having it. So
Mm,
yeah, it was really
I
brilliant.
haven't. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's really cool. It's interesting that you mentioned that because I didn't realize I'd been in coaching as long as I had until I started
Isn't it
looking into
funny?
it. Because
Yeah,
for me, it started when I started helping other mothers in life. Because through the voluntary organization I was with, we were taught how to help them see the problem behind the problem.
right.
It was literally
Wow.
listen, reflect back. So it was literally training to coach. And I only realized
Exactly.
that once I started to properly coach, and then I've been
Oh
doing
my
this for
goodness.
decades. Oh,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, right. And it's amazing how fast time flies when you're
mm,
just in it, right?
yes,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So that's really cool. So today, Joelle and I will talk about resilience. So I wonder, what is for you the definition of resilience?
So I know people have said, or there's a saying that it's not how many times you fall down, but how many times you get back up again, right? You fall down 7, you get back up 8. And truly, I think that that's part of it. I think that the other piece that I don't necessarily know a lot of people pay attention to is, sure, everyone can get back up again, and there's something that needs to happen inside here and here that has to expand and grow to support you getting back up again.
Yeah.
And in my particular life, uh, the I've noticed that I have had many challenges, not unlike anyone else in the world. Everybody's got challenges, right?
Yeah.
And mine started not too long after uh, I was a toddler, maybe 3 or 4, and I got an infection in my ear that paralyzed my whole left side. So as a
Oh,
3 or
wow.
4-year-old, I couldn't speak and couldn't use my whole left side. So I had to relearn all of that, right? 4 and 5. And I remember wearing braces on my feet as I was trying to learn how to walk again. And I remember going to speech therapy. A lot of it is just like little pictures, little flashes in my memory.
Yeah.
But I remember, I remember vividly having my speech therapist give me lifesavers so that I could speak with the lifesaver in my mouth, and it would help form my tongue. It would help my tongue learn how to say letters again. It's just so vivid, these little
Mm.
memories, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, as a 4 and 5-year-old, I was learning about resilience, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And getting back up again.
Yeah.
And, I had just everyday kinds of things that normal children have, growing, and bullies and that sort of thing, of course. And probably the next big traumatic experience I had was I was 29, and the car accident I was in with my son and my husband was killed in that car accident. And this was a man that I had known more than half my life at that point. We were high school sweethearts, and we had, my life at that point felt like a great tragedy, because it was all this love and wonderfulness. And we got high school sweethearts who got married and bought a home and then had a child. And, we were on our way to the 2.3 children that's what every family had at that point. Right.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, the whole, I was going to say the rug got pulled out from under me, but it was more
Mm.
like the whole building crashed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And, really the experience of learning how to come back from that. And
Mm-hmm.
and what was really brilliant, I think, that I just didn't know any better, but I was offered the opportunity, really, because of my support system. My in-laws were very close to us physically and emotionally, and they helped take care of my kid. And
That's
they
beautiful.
came in and supported me and just allowed me to crawl my way back up to standing. I had a mother-in-law who would, we never went back to our house. Well, we did, but like 8 months later. But I lived with
Mhm.
my in-laws, and my mother-in-law would come in every morning when she went to work, and she would kneel down, because I was in bed. So she would kneel down on the floor and whisper into my ear, "Okay, today I just want you to make yourself a cup of tea, and then you can go back to bed."
Oh.
And the next day it would be, "Today I just want you to sit on the couch for a little bit." And then the next day it would be, but every day there was some minuscule task and I had
Mm-hmm.
all day to do it, right? But
Mm-hmm.
there was never any pressure. There was never any, "Why aren't you over this yet?" There was never any of that. So that space for me to grieve and for me to be catatonic, as it were, for
Mm-hmm.
so long, and to feel the feelings and to explore, how am I going to stand back? I've got a 2-year-old that is
Yeah.
depending on me
Yeah.
to function at some point. I can't live with these people for the rest of my life, right?
Mm. Yeah.
And, of course, there was my husband on my shoulder, and that, this is our child. I have responsibility to my husband, and right. So, but I know nobody is really ever allowed that opportunity, but that was really the space and the grace that I had um, given to me, and the love that I had poured on me to allow me to do that. And that was probably the beginnings of learning what real resilience was like,
Yeah.
and moving through to, okay, well, I didn't have a job before, right? My job was to take care of my family and to help
Mm.
raise my child and pick up the dry cleaning on Thursday and go grocery shopping on, Fridays or whatever. That was my job. And honestly, a toddler can eat Cheerios every day for every meal, right? Like, they don't care. And so I had to figure out what I was now going to do, because I had a trajectory. And
Yeah.
now, not only was I grieving the loss of my husband, I was grieving the loss of the dream that we had built, and what all was going to happen around that.
Yeah.
And now I had to figure something else out. And it felt like I had to figure it out on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
right, like,
Yeah.
there's no time to
No.
really, like, figure stuff out, right?
Nope.
All of that has to happen rather quickly.
Yeah.
And so, again, my same mother-in-law one day caught me humming, and she said, "Oh my gosh, did you realize you were humming?" And I said, "No." And what was so profound was that she was like, "Oh, that's what we're going to do. We're going to have you sing for our church." And I'm like, "I don't sing." She goes, "No, no, no. These people have come and fed a family of 7 every single day for the last 6 months. This is how you're going to give back." And I remember one Sunday, we all went to church, probably 6 or 7 months into
Mm-hmm.
my grieving period. And she walked me right up to that worship leader and said, "She needs to sing for you." And I said, "I really don't sing." And he's like, "Oh, can she sing?" "Oh, yes, she can sing." "I really don't sing." "Great. Can you have her here on Thursday?" "Absolutely." "No, you don't understand. You're not listening. I can't sing." And sure enough, she brought me there that Thursday night. And wow, what music did for me was open a portal that I didn't know existed, and I found my center.
Beautiful.
And it was really the way that I started coming back to life, and how I started learning about the mind body connection,
Mm-hmm.
and right, the
Yeah.
space that I mean, you cannot have one without the other.
Nope.
They feed each other, and sometimes I think the body is more responsible than the mind in that grounding,
Yeah.
in that opening up the mind. It's the body and the nervous system that I will tell you that when I was singing, I was literally transported. It felt like I was being transported to just a different place,
Mm-hmm.
and almost like a high that I would get from it.
Yeah.
And it, like a drug, it was like, "Oh, I need to feel that again." Right. Like,
Yeah.
because I could feel it in my body and in my mind. It was such a centering, when in meditation they talk about that gold light that
Mm.
comes through your crown and goes all the way through your feet into the
Yeah.
center. And that is what the music and the singing did for me. Like, it was that chord
That
for
makes a
me.
lot of sense.
It was amazing. And then, of
Yeah.
course, I started learning about frequencies and
Mm-hmm.
that sort of thing, right? So, I mean, it is all tied up
It
together.
is. It is.
And it just started a whole new
Yeah.
avenue of feeling and connection for me in that respect.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
When you were talking about it, I had this thing, wow, that's one amazing mother-in-law. She must have been really resilient
Oh,
as well because she lost her
yes.
son. So, wow.
Correct, right. And it wasn't her first loss. Her first husband died from something, and I can't remember off the top of my head what it was, and she had a little one. She and I were very connected, I think,
Oh,
on a
wow.
soul level, because she was almost my guide in that respect, right? We were
Mm-hmm.
15 years apart. And not only were we 15 years apart, our boys were 15 years apart. So we had only children. They were
Mm-hmm.
both boys. The tragedy happened around the same time chronologically for each of us.
Yeah.
And she had those 15 years on me to
Mm-hmm.
help me, right, to
Beautiful.
guide me. I
Yeah.
mean, just remarkable, the coincidence
Mm-hmm.
that happens in life if you're open and looking for it, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I, I she is I credit her 100% for being the one that brought me back to life.
Yeah.
She's the one. She is the one of and I have because because of the way our families are. I have one mom and dad, but
Mm-hmm.
my first husband had a mom who married 4 men in her life. And for me, once you're a grandparent, you're always a grandparent.
Yep.
So if those people got remarried, they also became a grandparent. So at one point, my son had um, 7 sets of grandparents
Oh, wow.
and 2 sets of great grandparents. that weren't mine. I only
Mm-hmm.
had one set of parents, right? So he had
Mm-hmm.
one set of grandparents on my side. But the love that we had, and I used to say, if there's any child on the planet that could stand to lose a parent, it would be mine, because of the amount of love that we had
That's
just
beautiful. Yeah.
waiting to be poured on him.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
really,
It's
really
beautiful.
amazing.
Yeah.
And it's those opportunities when tragedy strikes,
Mm-hmm.
or something happens, whether it's a choice that you've made that didn't turn out the way you expected. I married someone 5 years in. Now I see, or actually shortly after, I saw that I was tired, and I was tired of doing this by myself. And I felt so much pressure to raise this golden child, right? Who was loved and
Mm-hmm.
adored by all these people, that I just didn't think I could do it by myself. And I married somebody who just, threw more chaos into the picture.
Ouch.
And yeah, yeah. And there was embezzlement, and another divorce, and some not physical but emotional abuse. And there was a lot that I finally had to go, okay, I don't think this is right anymore, and we need to move past that. And I had to overcome some religious beliefs that were not in agreement with what I needed to do. And
Mm.
I had to
Yep.
take the hit from those people that judged my choice, and I had to rebuild a life again.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so here
Yeah.
we go. Right. Okay. I've done this once. I think I can do it again. And it's from reaching back into, okay, what do I need right now? What is it that's going to
Yeah.
offer me another rung on the ladder to climb back up again? And,
Yes.
who can I really connect with that can offer me that, that next step, and can help me. So again, I would look to people who, you see, especially in business, you say, look to the people who are doing what you want to be doing, and follow the steps of I did that my whole life. Like, okay, who's functioning? Who's
It
functioning,
works.
right? Who's
Yeah.
functioning in a way that I am not? And what can I learn from them? Right. And it is, right. And it's how you have to be willing to be open to allowing the path to take you where it needs to go.
Yes. Yep.
And that is the thing that I think has really been a lifesaver for me, in that while it's um, hard to expose the choices that didn't work out the way you wanted them to in public, I'm very careful to not use the word mistake, because people will naturally gravitate to that word. I
Yeah.
don't think mistakes happen. I
Mm.
think that every choice, whether it's on purpose or it's happenstance, the choice happens, and something is coming from that. You may not like the experience that you have to go through to learn. And if you're open, the learning happens, and that's the next step that
Mm-hmm.
moves you forward, right?
Yep.
I have taken every single lesson that I've learned and built upon it, because that's the only thing that makes sense for me,
Mm-hmm.
right? The coaching that I
Yeah.
do now um, is a byproduct of me going, okay, my life experience has to mean something. And yes, it means something to me. And there's a reason that I am here. And I think that reason is to share my experience, and to let people know that, you know, no matter what the loss is, I mean, it could be the loss of a pet. Like, sometimes
Mm.
relationships with pets are deeper than those with humans.
They
And
can be really intense. Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
don't have a pet or understand what that unconditional love is, sometimes the pet's the only thing that stays with you all the way through the divorces and the miscarriages and the
Yes.
losses, and it's the dog or the cat or the parakeet or whatever, right?
Yep.
And so the loss of a pet tends to even be just as devastating as the loss of a
Mm.
human, or the loss of a job, or the loss of a career. And I think what a lot of people don't understand is the platitudes are not what those of us in grief or trauma or who are devastated by any means need. But I know for those of us in the United States, we aren't taught how to deal with loss. We're
Mm.
taught, a very, the word puritanical comes to mind, where it's just, okay, yeah, we kind of brush it underneath the rug. And in the US,
Poker face.
yeah, in the US, you're allowed 3 days of grief. You're allowed to take 3 days from work, and that's it.
That's
And I
not a
know,
lot.
no, and I know that a lot of other countries offer more space for that. And yeah, wow. Like,
Mm.
really? You're
Yeah.
supposed to, right? Like,
It's very different in different cultures how grief gets experienced. And
yeah,
I personally think that the emotions need to be there. So when you just go there with a straight face and, or like they say in Britain, stiff upper lip, just don't
stiff upper
show
lip.
any
Yeah,
emotions,
yeah,
just pretend that it's all okay.
yeah.
Then you stifle growth
And
because
it
there's such a
causes so
thing
much
as
damage.
there's such a thing as post-traumatic growth. So when you go
Oh,
through a traumatic experience, the idea is that you grow from that. But for
right.
that, you also need to feel all the emotions. For that, you need to do the grieving. For that, you need to really do the processing of it all. Otherwise, you can't grow through that. So the stiff upper lip is not useful in any way to anybody.
That's
It
that's
really is
right.
this thing of we need to be able to feel. But
Yeah.
in many Western cultures, this feeling things, just shove it under the rug. We're okay. But
Yeah.
we're not. That's going to, in the long run, cause more trouble. But
Yeah. I had
just
a
kind of how it
friend
works.
Yeah, I had a friend once describe to me what happens when you stuff your emotions and you don't feel
Mm,
your feelings. And I like to talk in pictures. That's what makes sense for me.
yeah.
And he gave me the analogy of holding a balloon in your
Hmm.
hand. And
Yeah.
if you were to squeeze the balloon, it bubbles up here, it bubbles through your fingers. And
Yeah.
that's what's happening, is that yeah, you're stifling this, but it's going to pop out somewhere else. And you
Yes.
may not understand, what's happening, but
Hmm.
now all of a sudden, you're kicking the dog because you had a bad day, or you're
Yep.
griping at your children, or, you're upset with your wife or your husband because they left the
Hmm.
toothpaste cap off the toothpaste, right?
Hmm.
Um, it's just those little things, but that's our bodies trying to get us to
Yep.
express that emotion. And what happens, right? It comes out inappropriately. And
Yep.
now all of a sudden you've got another problem,
Hmm.
right? That
Yep.
isn't dealing with the main problem, but now I just get to focus on this problem. I don't have to do, and pretty soon you start to forget that that problem was ever there.
Yeah.
And it's only after really being quiet and having someone, to what I say, sit in the muck with you,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Like, we don't need I heard them all, right? And I also had 2 miscarriages when I was married to my first husband. And I remember, and one happened a month before he died.
Oh
And
goodness.
yeah, and it was June, January, and he died the day after my birthday in February. And I remember people saying all kinds of stuff. Oh, well, God needed them in heaven, or,
Oh.
you'll get through this. You'll be stronger because of it. When I had my miscarriages, it was, well, at least you can get pregnant. And I mean, the platitudes that people
Mm.
say, because they are trying to help. I had a grief coach once tell me, you got to pretend like it's Charlie Brown. and how Charlie Brown hears the adults, wah, 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 right? Like that's how he hears adults. And that's what you have to hear what they're saying, but just receive the love, because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to give you love and don't know how to do it. So
Yep.
ignore the words and just feel the love, right?
Yep.
And it's in that space that we're able to, sorry, I have a hair that keeps tickling my face here. So it's in that space that's where the emotions can then come up, right? So especially when I'm dealing with people who are struggling with grief or trauma, this isn't a fast fix. We're not going to get this in 3 sessions,
Nope.
right? Like there are going to be times where I'm just going to sit and listen to you tell me the story again and again and again, because that's the beginning of processing, getting the words out of your body, right? And it's with any trauma, it's with anything. And while I do believe that there comes a time when we get stuck in the nurse, or sorry, the nurse, the curse, and the rehearse of it, right? That circle, right? We nurse the wounds, we curse the wounds, and then we rehearse the wounds, right? And we get stuck there. I think there is a time when it's necessary, and then there's a time where, okay, it's time for us to like at least get up on our knees, right? And we'll just sit here for a bit until this feels good. And then, right? Because otherwise the growth doesn't happen, right?
It's hard.
And it is hard. And I think what stifles a lot of people is that because we're not used to feeling those emotions. It's funny, I just had a coaching session with a friend of mine who was coaching me, and we found a part that I had not realized was there that needed some attention. And I realized that, oh, wow, this one's deep. And I didn't realize I had buried it, right? So life happens to all of us, even the coaches, right? And we're never done. And I think where I was going with that was that I think that because we're not used to feeling the feelings, and because we're not used to the process of allowing our nervous systems to reset, we're afraid of the feelings. And oh my gosh, if I feel that feeling, it's going to destroy me again. And
that's what a lot of people say.
Yeah, it's going to destroy me again. And I don't have the strength to stand back up from that. And I kind of liken it to having food poisoning, in that, oh my gosh, you feel so bad. The illness of it is terrible, and you don't want to vomit, and you don't want to, and you're going to try everything to not, but your body needs to get whatever it is out. And it's got to come out. And once that happens, you start to feel better. You don't spend the rest of your life vomiting, right?
No.
And that's the thing, is that the more we feel those feelings, the more we let them out, the less time it takes us to recover from it, right? Like that first time, it's probably going to be a lot, but I promise you, I'm here and it won't kill you. You will be able to get back up. I promise you.
Yes.
Because the life force that's kept you here every single day is the life force that's trying to pull you through this.
Yes.
Stop fighting it and surrender. Allow it. Right?
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
I feel it. The thing is, when you go through things, and like my dad died when I was 7, that was really rough. Really rough. And that's still sometimes rough, but it's not that rough.
Right.
And there's every year, on the day that he died, on the day of his birthday, that's something that is for me a day where, this was really rough to go through. But back in the day, it kind of just took me out of life completely for a while. That doesn't happen anymore now. Now it's this thing. There's one of the things for me is that grief is the other side of love.
It
So the
is.
moment I learned about that, it was for me this thing of, well, that's me expressing my love for him because he was an amazing person. So it's totally fine to have a day here and there to just sit with him.
Yeah.
And that's been really cool to do. And I do it more consciously now because there were years where I tried to ignore it and it didn't
Right.
actually help. So
Right.
just sitting with that,
Yeah.
being with him, and just, yeah, it
Yeah.
works. It just makes it, I don't know, easier is maybe not the right word, but it kind of is easier. It makes it pleasant is not the right word either, but being
It's
present with is just a good feeling in a way.
when you were saying that, the word that came up for me was familiar.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I think, um, my two favorite words are uncomfortable and unfamiliar. And I think
Mm-hmm.
we use uncomfortable when we mean unfamiliar, and we can mean them both at the same time, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And I think what happens, like when you share, and this might be right and it might not, and take what you like and leave the rest. But for me, when I experience that, what happens for me is that the feeling becomes more familiar.
Mm-hmm.
And so it isn't as uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right. And it is a moment of sadness. Uh, and again, you're not just necessarily grieving the loss. You're
Mm-hmm.
grieving the loss of the life that could have been,
Oh yeah.
that would have affected you, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
growing up with a daddy, and all the things that daddies do, right? And those types of things.
Yep.
And it is important to experience all of it,
Mm-hmm.
not just that one piece.
Yeah.
And so I think that, yeah, as we are more familiar with the feeling, again, like I said before, people feel like it will just destroy them again, and they won't be
Mm-hmm.
able to get back up because it was so, that initial shock is so devastating.
It is.
And you never go all the way back to the beginning.
No, you
You
just
never
don't.
do.
No.
And I kind of liken it to going to the ocean, in
Mm-hmm.
that standing on the shore is that very first experience and that very first shock.
Yeah.
It might feel like you're going to go all the way back to the shore, but you don't. You end up going to just like where the water is touching your toes, right? It's just
Yep.
in the water. And then the next time, maybe the water's up to your ankles. It does feel like you've gone, because you may have felt like you were swimming, and
Mm.
it brings you back, right? But it never brings you back to that initial shock.
Yeah.
And that's what I think everybody's so afraid of. I don't
Yes.
want to have that again. And you've already had it.
Yeah.
You're not going to
Yeah.
have it again.
No,
And that's part of it.
you've healed a bit from it. That's the interesting thing, and that's what most people don't realize. At that
Yes.
moment you go through it, you also afterwards go through a process of healing.
Yeah.
And it may not be a complete healing, but
Right.
every time you feel it, you heal more. And I
Yeah.
think that's a beautiful thing that we as humans do that. And I guess that's what makes us resilient, because it
It
never is that bad again, and we every
right.
time heal a bit more.
Right. Right. And it while you were talking, I got the picture of those animals, or those lizards or whatever it is, that lose a leg and then they grow it back.
Chameleons or something?
I think so, right? Something like that. I
It's
think
a
there's
lizard of
actually
sorts.
lots of animals that can lose limbs and they grow them back, but I was thinking of, yeah, I think it might be a
Yeah.
chameleon, right? And from like a universal perspective, that trauma and that grief and that shock, I think, is probably what brought my husband and I together, my current husband
Mm,
and I, because 5 years ago, his firstborn, our middle,
mm-hmm.
I have the oldest, then there was his firstborn, and then his baby, um, died in a car accident.
Oh, goodness.
And guess who's already walked a similar path?
You have. Yeah.
Who could sit in the muck with him
Mm,
and allow him the space
yeah.
to not know what to
You
do.
don't. You don't know at that point. And
And
you
this
don't
is
have
the
to.
right. And this is the piece that I learned from that, is that men grieve differently than women.
Mm,
We talk, we
Yes.
share, we
Yep.
emote,
Yep.
right? Brene Brown says, like, what is the worst thing that we ask of our men? And that is for them to be vulnerable and share their hearts. And the moment they do, we kill them for it. Right? That's a
Yeah.
paraphrase. But
Mm-hmm.
we don't allow men to be vulnerable
Mm.
because the worst thing for a man to be is weak. Right? And
Yeah.
so there is no place for men to grieve. And
Mm-hmm.
very shortly after the death of our son, he, like 6 months into his grieving process, he found this organization that called Helping Parents Heal. And then they had an offshoot, which was about 20 men. If you can imagine all the parents who have lost a child, the organization is probably thousands. I don't even know how big, but it's huge. And
Mm-hmm.
there's this offshoot of just 20 men.
Oh, wow.
Who fathers helping fathers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the space where they
Yeah.
get to cry and they get to wail and swear and
Mm-hmm.
drink. And, but those are the places where, for men, they either isolate or self-medicate, or they,
Mm-hmm.
there's one other one, isolate, self-medicate. I can't remember what it is, but that's when I learned, oh yeah, men do this totally different.
Mm-hmm.
And so then after a while, he became a leader of that. So then all of a sudden there were both of us that are like helping grieving parents, he helps small businesses and startups and stuff like that as
Oh,
well.
beautiful.
But
Yeah.
there's an aspect of
Mm-hmm.
our lives and our experience, our lived experience, that also comes through, that now we both have this thing that we work with
Yeah.
others through, right? And it is amazing the things that you can learn in those types of rooms, and
Yes.
how everyone experiences differently. And the one thing that I have noticed that men and women both want and need is just someone to sit in the
Mm.
muck with them.
Yeah.
Don't tell me it's going to be okay. I don't need to hear that. Just sit with me here.
Yep.
I might not even say anything, but just knowing that there's another human that understands that I'm experiencing
Mm-hmm.
something that I can't verbalize, but you can receive.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful. Yeah.
Yep. Just sit there. Yeah. It
Yeah.
can be life changing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the space that's afforded people in that
Mm-hmm.
allows them to stand back up again and to
Yeah.
grow and to learn. And
Yes.
I think we need more of those spaces, and we need to
Mm-hmm.
understand how and that's what we as coaches do, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
there's so few of us that understand that. And that's what we try to do. Those are the little pods that we create for people, right?
Yeah.
That they to just sit and
Yes.
listen and hold the space for whatever shows up.
Yeah. And it's really important because we don't experience it often in life,
Right.
other
Right.
than in a conversation with a coach or someone like that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It has been really cool, this conversation. Wow. That went really deep actually. But we've talked for quite a bit, so I would like to ask you, when someone wants to contact you,
Yeah.
how can they do that?
Yeah. I actually really prefer people to reach out to me on my personal email, which is
Cool.
Joelle Bohart at gmail.com.
Okay.
I think that I don't like them going into a funnel or anything like that.
Mm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
really like people to be able to reach me. So
Yeah, yeah.
Joelle Bohart at gmail.com.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll share that with the details in the description of the video, obviously.
Brilliant.
And well, I really enjoyed this conversation because grief and resilience, they go hand in hand, and it's such a beautiful topic, and I think a lot more people need to know a lot more about it.
Mm,
We've only touched on a few little things,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's what happens with conversations like this. You
Right.
can't do it all. It
Yeah.
requires multiple conversations.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you for joining me because I really
Yeah.
enjoyed this and it was just beautiful. So yeah, thank you.
You're
And
welcome. Thank you so much.
hopefully we can do it another time. Would be
I
cool.
would love that.
All right,
It's an
let's do it.
honor. Thank you, Diana.
All right. Thank you all for watching. Bye.